Hello everybody, Rob here, and today, it is Monday, the 2nd? I think it's the 2nd, and I bought my first batch of stocks for our little thing here. So, I spent $96.75, and bought the following stocks. So, before I even do anything, let's fix that. There we go. Okay, so these are the stocks I got so far. So remember, here is the plan. These are all set right now to set by, so the market hasn't opened up yet. So if there's any changes here, I'll update them within 24 hours or so. But these are all the set buys. I set them all for the market. It looks like the market is going to continue going down probably for the next little bit, which is no big deal. But I've set it to buy at this price or 10 cents or 10% actually. Sorry, 10% cheaper. So a couple of them is only a couple cents, but it's basically whatever people are going to be willing to sell these for. So the plan is, once again, $100. We're going straight down our list, starting from the highest yield all the way down. I got to this financial trust company and their stock was $13. So I stopped because that would put me over the $100 mark. So there we go. So the plan is $100 every month, the beginning of every month. We're buying stocks until we have one of every single one of the 152 monthly dividend paying stocks. Now, as I mentioned before, there are a couple stocks that have started paying monthly dividends maybe in the last month or two. We're excluding them. These are companies that have constantly paid a dividend monthly for the last 10 months or longer. So green screen's being really wonky on me today. But yeah, so here we go. So right now our estimated monthly amount is $1.15, which when you think about it, putting in $100 isn't that much. No big deal. We're averaging around 9 cents a stock out of the 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, out of the 11 stocks we have. So that's not so bad, actually. It's a good return. If we're getting $1 every single month and we've spent $96, yes, it will take us 96 months to pay back our current dividend amount, but we're not too worried. We got one stock here that pays 20%. So just over 4 years from now, that stock would theoretically pay itself off, which is pretty good. Yeah, so far so good. I also wanted to mention a few things about my screener here. God, this took forever. So a couple things I needed to double check. Or needed to do. Number one, the Canadian Ventures Exchange, or the Toronto Ventures Exchange. That was a pain, having to go through and knock out all those ones. That wasn't the worst. The worst one was this one all the way down here at the bottom. The Canadian Stock Exchange, or the Canadian Securities Exchange. This is the competitor of the Toronto Stock Exchange. I had one company on that list, and oh my God, was it a pain. So on the TSX, or the Toronto Stock Exchange, it's nnl.u:/CNX for Canadian, or CSX, Canadian Securities Exchange. But the actual Google Sheets and Yahoo and all them, they use CNSX. That took like a good 2 hours of me doing homework to find it. Now that I know exactly what I'm looking for, it would be a lot easier, but I didn't even know what CSX was. Even on the Toronto Stock Exchange, it just said CSX. And every time I type in CSX, I couldn't find anything. Until I was like, well, what exchanges are in Canada? And I kind of went through that way and then was Googling, all the different ones, like even, because I thought originally it was NEO, but it's not. It's the Canadian Securities Exchange. I can't remember where they're based out of. I was figuring a couple of these companies were on the Montreal Stock Exchange, so I had to remove, I removed 2 stocks in total. The other one, if I scroll up here to find one of them, are stocks like this one. So this is the U.S. Financial 15 Corp 2012 preferred shares. So these are shares that were issued in 2012 that have a set date, meaning once they go to a specific day, the company will either vote to extend those shares or buy them back. But because they're a preferred share, it was like FTU.PR.B on the actual exchange. So their actual ticker was FTU.PR for preferred, and then .B because it's a Class B share. So all these like preferred shares, I had to figure it because they weren't working as the .PR.B because it was just too long. So I had to like try to figure it all out and all that stuff. And then I noticed that on the NASDAQ, if you want to pull up a preferred share, you don't put in the .PR, .B, you just do the name of the stock, the slash, and then what class share it is. So in this case, it's a preferred B share. So I just went -B like they did on the NASDAQ, and it worked. All of this took me about an hour to get this entire thing working. There's a lot of preferred stocks, so it took a while. But even to figure out how it worked. In addition, I got my ticker or my pricing working a little differently than before. So before it was Google Finance bracket, then it was quotation marks. Within the quotation mark, it would be TSE : FFN, comma, in the quotations, price. And it would give me the price. But then we noticed when I was on my main ledger for my actual stocks, I couldn't filter or sort my stocks properly because the price and like, so the prices and the names and the yields and all that stuff, those would adjust and change. But so with it. So what would happen is I would then be getting, say, ENS, the price for ENS being pulled up as for Financial 15. So all of a sudden my dividend yields were wrong. My P&L was wrong because it was now pulling from a different price. And I figured this out. Some people are probably like, yeah, dumbass, that's how that works. I didn't know that. I'm not the most illiterate when it comes, or most literate when it comes to Google Sheets and things like that. Coffee. So I figured this out where if I just got it to pull the symbol, after putting the symbol in myself and then getting it to pull in the price, I was like, is that going to work? Sure enough, it works. So yeah, I got this working after that. So total, I think it took me about an hour and a bit to get the tickers working properly, to pull the proper prices, to then get the prices to pull properly from the ticker, to then be able to put it there so I can, for example, say, hey, let's go A to Z. And you see that on the right side, it just automatically changes to the proper price. Yeah, and then we go, hey, let's get the highest yield. Boom. It takes a couple seconds. You'll see the loading here and there, but I am happy that works. So now I can go to the ledger and say, hey, I think it's do something like this. Go to format. No. Tools as a filter. Create filter. Boom. So now, if I'm like, hey, I want to see which one's costing me the most amount of money. Or the least amount of money. Done. Now, this still gets all square because I did it wrong. That's why. There we go. You're supposed to do it like this. Now add a filter. I used to have it down here. I got to change that to data, create filter. So now it should not change the bottom line when I do this and say, hey, alphabet. There we go. And you notice none of these numbers should change. So everything here will change, but now that everything's pulling either from, like, so, yeah, it was hard to do. Basically, everything came down to the price of stocks, which was just ridiculous. Speaking of the price of stuff, let's give it some more real estate. There we go. So yeah, so here is the first 11 stocks of the 152. I was thinking $500 per month would have been nice, but $500 would have bought me at this current rate about 50% of the stocks. And I didn't want to do all, like, basically do this just for the next 2 months and buy basically a bunch of, like, 120, 75 stocks in month 1, 75 stocks in month 2, and go, hey, there we go, we're done. So I'm going to do $100 every month for the next amount of months. We're going to buy all these ones, and then we can truly say every single stock that pays a dividend is owned. At the also beginning of every month, I'm going to go onto the Toronto Stock Exchange website and look to see if there's any new stocks that have been listed. And I'll also double check to see what's going on. I'm also going to change the screener. So we're going to do monthly, quarterly, annual, or semi-annual and annual. So I'm going to have, 4 ledgers or 4 screeners here. What I'm also going to be doing down the road, once I get a couple more stocks, just because this will be a lot easier, is to put it in my other tracking software. And that will be able to then track a lot of things for me a lot easier. Like, for example, what businesses and, what industry some of these businesses are in, so I can track a little bit easier myself. But that's it. 11 minutes is good enough for me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next month when we buy X amount of more stock worth $100 to get those dividends, and expect also a main portfolio update as well. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Am I on the right screen? I'm not.